Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Gregory Wright Show. It is a delight to have you back. Today, we are going to continue our conversation about the California wildfires that's been occurring over the past week, if not a little bit less. But I did a last video on it, on what was taking place in the Pacific Palisades. I posted that video yesterday. There was a California resident that ripped into the LA Mayor Karen Bass for leaving the country while her county was basically suffering from burning trees and burning real estate around the county, around different other areas like Malibu. But I do have a message for California residents, and the message is your leadership is failing you. From Gavin Newsome to Karen Bass. Gavin Newsome is the governor, Karen Bass is the mayor of LA, and then you got what's called the LA Board of County Supervisors, who are responsible for making sure that they stay on top of how to mitigate natural disasters, flooding, fires, high winds, hurricanes, earthquakes, or whatever. They are supposed to set aside a budget to take care of that kind of stuff. Here's the reason why I think these guys are failing you, is because they put everybody else above the citizens who are paying the highest taxes in California. They put illegal aliens in front of taxpayer citizens in California. They put a smelt fish above and beyond the interest of the people who are paying the highest taxes in California, which is the reason why we're experiencing these fires, is because there should have been an infrastructure plan in place where all the melting ice and excess water flows from the north and eventually ends up in dry areas such as Hollywood and other places in LA, to make sure that the reservoirs are filled up to the brim so that firefighters could use that resource to put out fires, okay? And so without any further ado, welcome back to the show. We're going to start with this clip right here from Fox News.
The Palisades fire is now the biggest blaze, burning over 17,000 acres and still at 0% containment. But firefighters were reportedly running out of water from hydrants as they fought those flames yesterday.
Dr. Houman Hamadi escaped with his family as fire approached his home. He joins us now. Dr. Hamadi, obviously you're living this horror right now, but building off of Brooks' report, where do you lay the blame? Who's accountable for this tragedy?
Thank you, Todd. It's pretty obvious who's at blame for this, and it's Governor Gavin Newsome, it's Mayor Karen Bass, and on a county level, it's the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, 5 women whose job it is to try to guide all of public safety and infrastructure for the Los Angeles County. These people have one main job, and that main job is public safety. It is not climate change, it's not DEI, it's not high-speed rail that's going to cost $200 billion and take 50 years to build. It is one thing, and it's public safety, and that is the one thing they have not been focused on. Karen Bass went off to Ghana on a political junket. Gavin Newsome called a special session of the California State Legislature to spend $25 million to Trump-proof California before Trump even takes office, and then 3 days ago has a press conference bragging about this disaster of a high-speed rail. They've done everything possible aside from focus on this. And you look at Karen Bass, she's spent billions of dollars building places to put homeless people and illegal immigrants, putting them up in expensive hotels at a few $100s a night, while cutting the budget of the fire department by close to $20 million at a time when we need it most. Yeah. The fire department is understaffed. They're short on air resources, short on individuals, short on trucks, short on water, of all things. This is something that we predicted, something we knew would happen. I took my family up to a mountain in the Palisades overlooking the whole community and actually showed them. And I said these words about 6 months ago: this place will all burn. Why? Because it was obvious to anyone that this is dry and it's ready to go up, and we have no resources to prevent it. And unfortunately, what I predicted came true. This should never have happened, and had they done the right things in advance to prevent it and to attack it as soon as it began, this never would have gotten to this point.
And you mentioned, Dr.
Be sure to smash the like button if you liking this content so far. The LA Fire Department's budget was slashed $17.5 million. What they did with that money, what did Karen Bass do with that money? Who knows? I can only speculate and say maybe it went to sheltering illegal immigrants. Maybe it went to something else other than firefighting. But again, like I said in my video yesterday, every year these fires are seasonal. We have a pretty good idea when high winds are going to come through. Every year we have a pretty good idea when wildfires are going to kick up. So why not budget for it is beyond me.
After that, the fire department is understaffed. We got to know you during the COVID-19 pandemic, and during that time there were firefighters who were let go because they didn't get vaccinated. And boy, does the city need those firefighters now.
This was one of the biggest tragedies of COVID, is they got rid of so many firefighters who were young, healthy people who were never at risk of COVID to begin with, people who work outdoors for the most part anyway, never exposed in a meaningful way, and told them, unless you get this vaccine that you don't necessarily need, you're out. And guess what happened? They either fired them, or worse, they left and went to other fire departments, abandoning Los Angeles, leaving LA with a major shortage that lasts to this day. Even on top of that, again, with the budget cuts, even if they wanted those people, they don't have the money for them anymore. This is an absolute disaster, completely preventable, and I think it's criminal negligence on their part.
Speaking of money, insurers reportedly dropping fire coverage for hundreds of California homes months ago in the Pacific Palisades area. Doctor, what happens to your friends, your family, your neighbors who want to rebuild but now don't have that insurance coverage?
Yeah, we're going to abandon this video because I think the guest that's on the show said a mouthful already. One thing I want to point out that I didn't point out was, yes, there were mass exodus of folks who did not want to take the COVID-19 vaccine shot and decided to either resign or quit on their own, or they got fired. So lack of leadership, lack of planning, disoriented prioritization, not putting Americans first, not putting Californians first, forcing people to take a shot. This all snowballed into what you see here. But I don't want to get hung up on this video, right? There's another video that I want to take you to, and here is another California resident really ripping the leadership about what's going on in California concerning these fires. And he is raw in his delivery and what's been going on. His name is Zachary Levi. And here's what he has to say.
That the biggest problem that we suffer in California are these fires, and by the way, the mudslides that follow. And for them to do essentially not just nothing, but worse than nothing, when firefighter budgets are being cut, when they are specifically intentionally not doing the work that could be done to avoid these problems, or to be able to effectively serve them when they are happening, we are losing. I mean, I think it's something like millions of acres of feet of water runoff from rain and snow every year in California. As you pointed out, I think the smelt have something to do with that. That's an acre foot of water, by the way, is about 330,000 gallons of water. And there's millions of those that are just rolling off into the ocean when they could be captured in cisterns. We'd have an ecosystem of hoses and safety measures that can keep all of these homes and people in these homes safe. And for some reason, they choose to do none of that. And at some point, it goes beyond just whoopsie. At some point, it goes beyond negligence. There's something that's almost criminally intentional.
I kind of want to bring that back.
These fires, and by the way, the mudslides that follow.
I want to bring this back.
I mean, I've been hearing you on your show leading into the segment. I mean, I think you're hitting a lot of it on the head. This is just incredible mismanagement, incredibly poor leadership. I would go so far as to say that it's criminally negligent, because, I mean, Gavin Newsome has been either the governor for 5 years or lieutenant governor prior to that for 8-9 years. Some of the worst fires we've ever had in California under that watch. He clearly knows that the biggest problem that we suffer in California are these fires, and by the way, the mudslides that follow. And for them to do essentially not just nothing, but worse than nothing, when firefighter budgets are being cut, when they are specifically intentionally not doing the work that could be done to avoid these problems or to be able to effectively serve them when they are happening, we are losing, I mean, I think it's something like millions of acres of feet of water runoff from rain and snow every year in California. As you pointed out, I think the smelt have something to do with that. That's an acre foot of water, by the way, is about 330,000 gallons of water. And there's millions of those that are just rolling off into the ocean when they could be captured in cisterns. We'd have an ecosystem of hoses and safety measures that can keep all of these homes and people in these homes safe. And for some reason, they choose to do none of that. And at some point, it goes beyond just whoopsie. At some point, it goes beyond negligence. There's something that's almost criminally intentional about this. Like, what are they doing? I don't know.
So you mentioned criminal intent, and you mentioned criminal negligence. Because California can build anything. I mean, look at Silicon Valley, look at Hollywood. If they want to do something, California can do it. But you haven't built a single reservoir in 10 years? You're just letting water run into the Pacific? Because of what? A fish that no one's heard of? Does anybody care about the smelt fish?
I mean, listen, I think that both can be true. I think we can care about the smelt fish and we can care about our environment and also be able to value human life and the wonderful cities and civilizations that we have built and find some kind of a balance in all of that. Even still, with the smelt, there's no reason why we couldn't have safeguards to prevent what is going on right now. This is just, it's absurd. But I would say at the end of the day, you know, like I said, I don't know if there's criminal intent. I have no idea why they are doing or not doing the things that they are doing, but they must be held responsible. This is not good leadership. I mean, listen, you know, this is the man who, in the middle of the pandemic, when people were being locked up for going and gathering together, he was at French Laundry having dinner with his friends. What does that say about the character of this man who was doing nothing to help the people of California? I don't believe that he is. I don't believe.
Now, to be clear, he's talking about California Governor Gavin Newsome. He gave orders for everybody to be locked down, locked into their homes, only traveling the streets if it was deemed necessary for essentials like medication and water and things to survive, while he was out gallivanting during the evenings with his closest friends eating in fancy restaurants. Disgusting.
And so I think that there needs to be some kind of accountability that's held to the leadership, not just of California, but also of our nation. You know, I mean, listen, there are people still in eastern North Carolina that are still climbing out of the rubble of the hurricane that totally ravaged all of them in Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina. That's still happening, and FEMA completely dropping the ball there. What's going to happen now with Southern California? Is FEMA going to be there? By the way, one of the things that is almost most criminal in all of this, I don't know if you know this, but 70% or so of the insured in Southern California that used to have fire insurance in their home months ago, this insurance was taken away. The insurance company said, no, we're not going to offer fire insurance anymore. What else? Do they need...
Ladies and gentlemen, smash the like button if you are enjoying this content so far. I'm going to dig into the insurance piece later on in later videos. Right now, I kind of want to get into another video where we have another actor, James Woods. You may have recognized him in earlier movies. He hasn't had too many gigs now, but kind of want to get into what he has to say about the situation in California.
All right, we're going to come back to this press conference in Pasadena as it warrants. But no one has been spared from this inferno, including celebrities like James Woods.
Standing in my driveway getting ready to evacuate. We've got a lot of planes going over, dropping water, but
James Woods joins me now. James, you posted a video.
trees on his property, believe it or not. He's a professor at Harvard or something. It just make
Kind of want to skip ahead.
And it turned out later that the evacuate used to fall out of his.
Save their
And his
pets,
son-
go back in,
Oh yeah.
and discussed today.
Kinda wanna get into the meat and
We're gonna get
potatoes.
A little bit more of that in the next segment. But you guys pay, I think, the highest taxes in the United States. If not, you and New York are kind of tied, or Illinois. But among them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No water in the hydrants. 17.6
Right.
million cut from the fire department. Karen
Yeah.
Bass, a recent headline, I think you might have tweeted that out from the New York Post.
Yeah. And our new fire chief, has, and by the way, LA Fire Department is fantastic. The people, it's like the people who work for the federal government, so many of such good people, but the people in charge, she took over and she put on her bio that her priority, my highest priority, is inclusion, diversity, and equity. That is my priority.
So he's talking about the LA fire chief. Her name escapes you right now, and I'm not going to try to fake it until I make it. But, she's an LGBTQ diversity hire, DEI hire. Her main priority is for diversity, equity, inclusion in the fire department, instead of having the main priority being the fire department's mission to put out fires.
And somebody forgot to fill all the reservoirs, I guess, with water, because when I was getting smoke alarms, there was a fire truck parked in front of my house. But they couldn't pump any water because there was none, because they didn't put them in the reservoirs. Okay? And they were busy cutting, look, it's the same we had with all the crime we have in our neighborhood, in Los Angeles. When we had that idiot Gascon, they just didn't care. Everybody was running loose and smashing places. You couldn't walk down the street.
A return to competent leadership. This may be a wake-up call. We're not trying to make this political, but when you can't get water and your homes are burning and you have people trapped in their homes who don't have the ability to walk out, that's a problem. That's a real problem that has to be solved. So James, I'm glad I think you were the first one to actually put that out there last night.
Laura, with all due respect, if it is true that things were handled this way, if it is true that Gavin Newsome is the absolute blithering idiot that I believe he is in the way he has handled fire management in this state again and again and again and again, this isn't a wake-up call. This is the kind of thing they have tribunals for, where they try people and say, you had an oath of office to perform certain duties. When you're the fire chief, this isn't a social justice exercise that you're in charge of. This is you getting water to areas that need water because there are fires in 100-mile-an-hour winds burning houses to the ground. I watched on a Ring camera a guy have to sit and watch his pet burn to death. Those things are issues of the heart when you watch a cherished little pet, or, you know, look, my home is a building. It was we worked 3 years putting the home together. We loved our little house, but it means nothing compared to the 5 people who lost their lives.
Hey, thank you, James Woods, for getting your opinion out there on national television, telling it like it is. Here is Finnerty. Here is Newsmax. His last name is Finnerty. I forgot his first name. And he has a lot to say about, you know, what DEI has, what effect DEI, what impact DEI has had on the private sector, the government sector and stuff like that. DEI does not focus on the mission, and here is some of his opinions here.
Good news, my son lives out here and his wife. They got a notification yesterday their home is probably burned.
I'm gonna bring this back.
Today.
I'm gonna bring this back.
Here, good to see you. I'm Rob Finnerty, and what's happening right now in Southern California is absolutely terrible. But please do not be fooled by what you're hearing from the media. These are not once-in-a-generation wildfires. This is not climate change. This is death by DEI once again, just like we saw last week in New Orleans with Ann Kirkpatrick. The DEI hire police chief who didn't know the city had barriers in storage that could have been placed on Bourbon Street to prevent that madman from doing what he did on New Year's Eve. In Los Angeles, it's the exact same story. Death by DEI, this time with their brand new fire chief. This coming right from the city's website. Kristen Crowley is the 19th fire chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, and with her wife and children by her side, she took the oath of office in March of 2022, becoming the first female and LGBTQ fire chief in Los Angeles history. Well, isn't that just wonderful? The first LGBTQ fire chief, something we can all hope to have in our own towns one day. The mayor even had her marching in the LA Pride Parade in front of the fire engines, okay? Never mind that she's incompetent. And when you hear about her 3-year strategic plan for the city, America's second largest city, never once does she talk about preventing wildfires, mitigation, forest management. Take a listen.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I said, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part.
Yo, who the F cares about whether a fire department member feels included and all this other kind of stuff? Look, the freaking fire department across the freaking United States, their mission is to put out fires. Their mission is to rescue people from fires. Their mission is to support public safety. Has nothing to do with whom you fool around with in private, in the privacy of your own home. Has nothing to do with who you married to. Has nothing to do with how you feel. You go through the fire department training, you go through the heat, you go through the heavy lifting. All people care about, if I'm knocked out, all I care about is, are you strong enough to carry my 175-pound body out of harm's way? That's all I care about. And that's all what most people care about in the United States. Ridiculous.
Part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
Wonderful. Terrific. None of it matters when you're trying to fight fires. This is death by DEI. death by gross mismanagement. And just like New Orleans, death by hiring someone for a job that has no business doing that job. And this all could have been prevented. In 2014, Californians voted overwhelmingly to build massive facilities that would store rain and water from snowmelt in the Sierra Nevada mountains to the north. Donald Trump even talked about it during his first term. But 10 years later, and Gavin Newsome hasn't done it. He hasn't done a thing. And now, as a result, firefighters are hooking hoses up to fire hydrants across Los Angeles that don't have any water. And Gavin Newsome thinks he's going to be president in 4 years. Donald Trump on Truth Social today, Governor Gavin Newsome refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water to flow daily into many parts of California, including Los Angeles. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called the smelt, but he didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. He is to blame for this. And here's Donald Trump talking about getting control of this very same issue, this tinderbox waiting to happen of an issue 6 years ago.
Gavin's committed, we're all committed, I'm committed to make sure that we get all of this cleaned out and protected. We've got to take care of the floors, the floors of the forests, very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that, to that end, and it's going to work out. It's going to work out well.
I worked in California for 4 years. This is a huge issue out there. My other question, where's the mayor of Los Angeles during all this? Where's the most important politician in the city? It turns out that Karen Bass thought it was more important to be in Ghana right now. Ghana. Where is Ghana? Well, I didn't know either. Turns out Ghana is in Western Africa, and Karen Bass thought it was more important for the mayor of a city in California to fly all the way to Western Africa for the inauguration of Ghana's new president. She got back today. We'll have more on that in a moment. But that is death by DEI. Not that it would have made any difference, because under Karen Bass, this is what firefighters are being taught now. Not how to fight actual fires, or dare I say, prevent these fires from happening or spreading in the first place. Instead, new firefighters are learning about implicit bias. You can't make this stuff up. Take a look.
We are hosting our new employee orientation, and our focus is to teach our new employees for them to understand cultural competency, identify implicit and unconscious.
Listen, the focus should be on strength training and directing resources to fight fires, rescue people from smoke inhalation, rescue cats from trees, maintenance on the fire trucks, and making sure that you have big and strong firefighters to do the job. That's all that matters. Look, I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm done with this. I only got a couple minutes anyway, right? People of California. Now, most of you guys voted red. Most of you guys voted conservative. I need all of you guys to vote conservative. This is the reason why. If California was red right now, I'll be living there. If California was governed correctly, I'll be there right now. I have me a little house, outside the fire zones or whatever. But I need to deliver a message to California residents, and which is vote this failure of leadership out of office when the time comes, when the cycle comes. Don't forget to smash the like button if you've enjoyed this content, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.